Miserable Corner, your girl Roxy here, and I feel so honored and privileged for today's guest. I was like, Beyonce sang it best when she said, who run the world? You guys finish this sentence, yes. So joining us in the Miserable Corner today is none other than the lovely rugby player known as Kwanieze John. Hi, Kwanieze.
Hi. Hello.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I really am.
I'm enjoying the flow of the natural look.
Yes.
That's what it is about.
I've been natural all my life actually, and I did a big chop about 5 years ago, and this is where we are now.
But you're so full of confidence with it, and the way you rock it is so cool.
I think that stems from my dad. When he, used to comb my hair, he always said, "You have beautiful hair," and I always had positive messaging around my hair and my blackness. So, I think that's what it has been for me as growing up.
And as an athlete as well, playing in one of the most interesting games for a female. So let's just jump right into that. Why rugby?
I think it's more of a matter of how rugby, like how I got involved in rugby is the question. And ironically enough, around 14, 15, I wanted to model. And my mom said, yeah, I know, because I attended St. Francis Girls College, and it's a school that gets you involved in a lot of things. And I was modeling for one of our tea party shows, and I remember Richard Young invited me to his school and stuff. But my mom lived in London for many years, and she used to model. So I thought it was, yay, we're going to be models. And she was like, no. She was like, no. And I think that's because she wasn't here to supervise that process. And she probably had her, experiences as well, and, wanted to protect me from that. And I told her, well, the next sport that comes into school, I'm joining, because I really didn't want to stay home and do nothing. I had no idea what rugby was. All I knew is this lady came in school. She said she's looking to start a rugby team, and I'm like, sign me up. And that was it.
Down for it.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was getting into. It was just an opportunity to be physically active, not be home, be with my friends, because my entire class joined. So, yeah, it was like around 20 of us decided we're going to join rugby. And, well, I was the lone one to stay.
Yeah, I knew.
Yeah, but that's how it started.
You excelled in it so well and so fast, because I think you were introduced to rugby, 2004?
Yeah, around 16, like I do remember the year. So that would have been about 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I got introduced to the game. And I think my progress in the sport was a bit quick, because I was on the national team, at least trying out for the national team at around 17. And that was really, that was awesome to be part of, but it did come with its disappointments, etc., because I didn't make the team. And then, I'm from Belmont. My dad is a sports person. My mom said, so you're not quitting? And I was like, okay, cool, no problem. And, and I had really good support. And I think it was a belief that I deserved to be there. And I was like, okay, so what didn't I have? And I went and worked on that, and I got back into the game.
So How many siblings do you have? Are you the only child, or you have siblings?
Oh no, I'm far from an only child. I had an older brother. He died when he was about 18, and he was a couple years older than I was at the time. I have 3 younger siblings now as well. My sister, who's just 2 years younger than I am, my brother, who is 5 years younger than I am, and I have a baby brother.
Oh.
Yeah, who's just about 3. Two or 3. Yeah.
That's gonna be interesting. He's gonna be spoiled.
Yeah.
Hardcore spoiled. Okay, so a lot of people explain how rugby is, what position you play, and please give us a little definition of what position is what, because I am going to be a little bit off. Rugby is new to me.
Yeah, so what's interesting to know off the bat is that there are 2 versions of the game. There's the 15s rugby game, and there's sevens rugby. Sevens rugby is the Olympic sport at the moment, and I started playing 15s rugby. My position changed over the years because there's a position for every skill set, and I played where I was needed, or where because it's also about strategy. So if they needed, most of my time I spent at center, and that's also in sevens. I play prop. So I'm calling positions. You're watching me like, what the hell? What are you talking about?
We're gonna YouTube them after, and we're gonna.
Yes, okay. If you're gonna YouTube them after, So I in sevens I play prop. When I was younger, I played in the center in sevens, and in 15s I played flanker and center. So,
what is your preferred position?
I actually love the center. Because the center requires the role I played, because depending on your skill set, you play different roles on the team in certain positions. And at center, I am a strong runner at center, and my running lines are good as well. So depending on who my fly half is, I run lines off of the fly half. And
I would say a fly half is something like a winger.
No, so the winger is after me. So the fly half is like the first receiver.
Right.
Okay, so the first receiver, and then the centers, and then the winger, depending on the version of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen it.
Yes, yeah.
I've seen it. You're getting me there. Okay,
yeah, it's fun.
For the time that I've met you, we've always dealt with each other more on an administrative level, because you do work with the TTUC, and then you have this big position with Get to Know Rugby program.
Yeah, Get into Rugby.
What's some information about that?
Yeah, so what I would share is that a lot has changed over the last year. So my contract with the organization ended, and so I'm no longer working for them. But it doesn't stop my work in rugby, because you have a skill set to use it. But when I was in the position, my work involved getting it's a mass participation program. So my work involved strategic planning for organizations to develop mass participation programs and introducing the game to new populations. So I worked in Antigua, I worked in St. Kitts and Nevis, I worked in St. Vincent. I worked throughout the Caribbean doing that kind of work. And so it took me to a lot of places, and it also gave me an interesting perspective on sport administration throughout the Caribbean. So.
That's cool because I know that you did the sport development as well.
Yeah,
Is it
so
something that- Go ahead.
yeah, so I attended UTT, and I did my sports studies program there with a focus in development and sport for development. And I'm currently pursuing sport organizational development at the University at the Catholic University of Leuven in Belgium. So so my scope has expanded over the years, and I am really excited about where that takes me. I have no idea, but I'm excited about the possibilities.
That's great because, again, your personality is easy to pick up on. And of course, it has a lot to do with you were the captain for the Royal Aliens for what, 4 or 5 years, I believe?
Yes, I captained the team when I was in my younger years. But I really like leading without a title. So yeah, I really, and that is something my dad instilled within us when we were growing up. He said, like, you don't need a title to lead. And he always encouraged us, even with him, to say no, or that's not happening, or I think this should happen, So, when you have that kind of liberty with your parents, what is anything else?
But that's also great, right? Because there's another thing we especially now in these times that we're living, the new normal as they call it, the support needed, especially for athletes, because but last I checked, you were still a member of the rugby national team.
Yes,
when you young ladies were doing
that. Up to last year, I made the Pan Am team, which for me was like, the highlight of my playing career, because it was after a 6-year hiatus of playing, as well as ACL reconstruction surgery. So I spent approximately 2 years with a very good team to get me back on the field, and I was able to make it to the Pan Am Games. So, yeah.
I mean, speaking from the athlete's perspective now, with the situation that we're in and the concerns that a lot of athletes will have now with COVID-19, how do you cope with that? And how would you advise other athletes in coping with that? And how serious, how important it is to have that support system that you just joyfully spoke about in your family?
Yeah. So I have to say that athletes have a different mentality towards obstacles. And yes, we do have times where, we may, because we're human, so there are times when we would not seem our best or strongest, but we have these skills developed through sport to get us out of that space. I think COVID has really created an opportunity for athletes to rest in some cases and reevaluate where they're heading, and also reevaluate, okay, what is my next step? And I think one of the challenges that we have is the silence of the administrators. At least in my sport, the silence of the administrators isn't helping our anxieties. And I also think that we have to keep our goals in mind and re-strategize.
And I think this would bring us to, because you said something there about the administration silence, and it's not one thing just within rugby. There's a lot of sports that you hear a lot of complaints about this, but for someone who has been on the administrative side, and let's go to the article you just wrote so brilliantly. Strategic.
Oh, thank you.
It's a brilliant article. Everybody should check it out. It's you can check it online on the Guardian page, but just type in Kwanieze John and you would see the article come up and you take a read, because I mean, let's get into that and what you just said. And you have to look, because I'm putting you in a spot, 2 caps. You have the athlete's cap and the administrative cap.
Yes,
so, I mean, why is this? Why is this happening, and what do we need to do now?
I think administratively, we're so dependent on what the world is doing, right? So when it comes to competition, that we rely on what is happening in the world. And in the world, nobody knows what is happening. Nobody knows what is happening. The cost of travel, like even if we look at the cricket, right? The costs, a lot of sports don't have that kind of money to create bubbles for all the teams to continue that level of that security, that biosecurity, so to say, right? Yeah. So I think that is one component of it. And I think that is why I wrote the article as well, because I think everybody's so quiet. It's deafening, to be honest. And I think it's an opportunity for us to pivot, as I shared, and focus on community sport and focus on how we can build a culture of sport. So that we have a healthy society, because one of the challenges that you hear over and over in the health conferences is that Trinidad and Tobago is an unhealthy population, and we have high incidences of heart disease, diabetes, etc. And sport is fun, so why not use sport to get people active and get people moving, and without the pressure of talent ID and without the pressure of elite performance. And that was my key message that I hope people get.
How would you rate the incorporation, or how high or how low do we, for you, incorporate sport from young? Like, what would you rate it, and what would you like to see that?
I would like to see an improvement in it. I in this interim period, I delved into teaching. So at primary, I'm teaching. Yes, I know, right? Like, so I'm teaching at primary school, and there is, interestingly enough, there is the curriculum. There's a physical education curriculum that I don't think many teachers use. And being the athletes on staff and big on physical activity, I encourage these teachers to do PE. And what I found with the curriculum as well is that there's a disassociation with sport in itself, or the mention of sport in physical education. So I read, which was an interesting perspective, I read that they sometimes use a river to, or the speed at which water
flows.
Yeah, flows for PE and body movement. So when I saw that, I was like a bit confused, because remember, I'm coming from a sporting background.
Yeah.
But I spoke to primary school, obviously. I spoke to primary school teachers and I got the perspective. But I honestly think some of our children have a disconnect that physical activity can lead to sport and being functional in sports, because it's not associated. There's a disassociation. So it was interesting to say the least. And in this time, there are a lot of resources for teachers that they don't even have to do the work, because I found an app that I don't do the work with them actually. I mean, as a primary, and I think online helped, right? So there's an app called Swigit. I put it on, and they have a child doing all the exercises, and the children just follow the exercises, and they have a grand time. And I think there's a hesitation or a fear that I don't know how to teach it properly, so then I'm not going to teach it. Or I have not experienced it, so I'm not sure what I'm doing. And I think it's really about education again. Yeah.
So, okay, you've been wearing the national colors. You've had some great moments, including being chef de mission.
Oh, yes.
Because I think that was one of the first times we actually started to talk a lot.
Yes,
one
yes.
of my first interactions with you, it was the Youth Olympic Games.
Yes.
And you're, for people who are looking at this, the way she gets excited when dealing with other athletes, she deserves to be a teacher. So how was that experience with the young athletes? And you were young. I think we were one of the youngest to have ever held that position. Yes,
I was. To be chef de mission it's an administrative role. You're responsible for coordinating and for organizing and coordinating with the local organizing committee. At that time, it was China, because it's Nanjing. I carried the team too. Mm-hmm. And it's a title, but I think the managers, I know the managers that, were selected and, went with the team, they did their role, and that's the best a chef could ask for, that the managers do what they need to do. And if there are any challenges, I step in and, but we have up to today, I have a really good relationship with the managers. And that was 6 years ago, But again, it really opened up, or it gave me another perspective on sport administration, and having the responsibility of your national athletes is something that I did not take lightly. I'm athlete focused and athlete centered. So their priorities, comfort, safety, everything was number one. And also my managers, because if the managers aren't comfortable, then how are they going to make their athletes comfortable? And we had a really good team for the Nanjing Games, and it was a privilege to lead that team to the games.
All right, so before I let you go, we're gonna do some quick questions, right? So
sure.
Some quick, simple answer questions. Just a little free. We freed up a little bit. We've been a little miserable.
Right.
Let's start with the high ones first. Your high and lows as an athlete.
My high as an athlete would have been returning to the field after surgery. That was definitely a high for me. It was euphoric. I could not believe that I did it. It took 2 years, and I'm really helpful for the team that got me there. I mean, I had to do the work, but that support from Jason Pilgrim of Sports Medic, and Orlando Griffith of Aries, and Dr. Bernice from VR Performance Consulting. If it wasn't for those 3 people, and obviously my family and friends, that would not be as, impressive as it is. My lowest as an athlete, I've never really thought about that question, to be honest. Because when I got injured, it wasn't even, I understand it to be part of being an athlete,
right?
So the injury didn't, damper stamp of me. So
you see why I call you Wonder Woman? Because you just take on everything now.
Well, okay. I mean, everything is perspective, Roxy. Everything is perspective.
So let's do this again. What's your favorite food?
Oh, I love home cooked food like macaroni pie and.
Yes, I can see it in your face. Look at you. You like to eat, huh?
You know, the pies and the okra rice and pigtail, bashed rice and pigtail, like, you know, those are some fun stuff.
That's cool. Your favorite color?
You know, surprisingly, it's pink. It's surprising. Like anything pinkish, like hint of pink.
Fuchsia.
Yeah, tint of pink, shade of pink, you know.
All right.
But I don't wear it very often. But if I to buy something, it always in that. Yeah.
Pink would look good on you. It actually would look good on you. Okay, favorite type of music and probably a favorite artist right now to listen to right now.
Soca, like that is music, full stop. Music, full stop. So Marsha Montano is my favorite artist of all time. Like ever since before Big Truck and all those, like from the time I was 6, Marshall right through. Even my niece, she can't hear Marshall, and that's because from the time she was 6 months, she danced into Marshall. So Marshall is definitely a favorite.
Okay. So next question. Favorite drink?
Which one?
No, don't play bashful here. Us girls are having a conversation.
I know. I mean, the thing about it, I honestly think life is about balance. And if we are referring to alcohol, I enjoy wine.
Oh, you like your wine?
Yes. And there's a really good sorrel port, local sorrel port. Like, I don't know where I'm going to find that now. One of my favorite wine spots is no longer in existence, but there's a sorrel port that I really, really enjoy.
Guys, if you know any sorrel pots out there that she can get, or you know where to get this, hook her up, okay?
Yes.
All right. So Henley will obviously let us know when we need to stop, but before we go, he wants me to ask you about your coaching experience real quick.
Oh, yes. So my coaching experience, I coach youth. I love coaching youth. I love when they see in themselves what I see in them. So that's pause reason for me. And I really enjoy doing development work. So working with teenagers, helping them navigate that period as well, because it's a challenging time. They feel like it's the end of the world sometimes. So I'm there for the drama, you know, and just to listen to them, and because their experiences are different and have been different from mine. They're in a different world. But I've always enjoyed working with youth. My focus has been physical literacy, because again, a lot of children aren't playing, they aren't outside, they not climbing trees, they're uncoordinated, you know? And I do find great joy helping them move better. And that's from at Royalians. At Royalians, and that's the club I developed in. We change our philosophy, our coaching philosophy for youth, and we focus on physical literacy. The rugby will come when they become confident in their bodies. And that has been one of my coaching philosophies for both male and females, because there are some males who aren't confident in their bodies. And so my work with youth coaching surrounds that. And if they have ambitions of making national teams, I push accordingly. If not, and they just want to enjoy the sport, they're free to do that as well. Like, no pressure.
Lovely.
Yeah.
It was so much fun having you with us, Kwanieze.
Yes, thank you. And this miserable corner.
Yes. That's exactly what I was going to ask you to do, actually. Just say, you just had some fun in the miserable corner with the miserable.
Yes, I just had loads of fun in this miserable corner with Rock.
Keep representing us. I know you have stuff going on. I know you're going to update me when you need to.
Yeah.
Are you ready? But I just want to say, we appreciate you as an athlete.
Thank you so much.
And I especially appreciate you because of your continued determination and the time that you take out on your own self and the things you put your personal self through just to help promote and support, especially youth in the country when it comes to the sport that you love so much, and that is rugby.
Yes. yes. Yeah. And it's sport generally. I want to see us do better at sport for young people, and I want us to, because sport has done so much for me, and I think most athletes can attest to that. Sport has done so much, and like, why isn't everybody playing sports? I think that's the attitude,
And that's the best attitude to have.
Yes.
Positively strong. Wonder Woman, aka Kwanieze John. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But no worries. I mean, I want to share, because sometimes as you say, Wonder Woman positive, but there have been dark moments where, you have to consolidate and not be at the fore all the time. And I think last year was that period for me. I've been very quiet and because it was a difficult year for me, very, very difficult. But resilience is something that we learn as athletes, and it's something that it's a great life skill to have. And you have to get up and move. You have to get up and move.
And that's the perfect way to end it now, because right now too, we have to remember and keep that mentality going.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
There you have it, guys. Wonder Woman herself, Miss Kwanieze John, joined us in the corner, and she had fun. And she shared.
I did.
Just keep doing you, man. We will talk soon.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Bye.